And we're coming to you live from the Built for Tough studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning, usually on a Monday night game or a Sunday night game or even a Thursday night game if a local team isn't playing, and I'll fall asleep during the game, and then I wake up and I say I got to watch the rest of this game, and I look at the score and it's an overtime game. I'm upset I didn't see it live, and I say, oh man, I must have missed something great. No, this was a really, really tough game to watch. A ton of mistakes and turnovers and penalties and just brutal. And the Philadelphia Eagles are going to make the playoffs because if you look at their schedule, they only have one tough game left, and that's Buffalo. They play the Raiders and the Commanders twice, so they're going to get 2-11 wins, you would think, unless disaster strikes. But this is a team that is not going back to the Super Bowl in the NFC. We're not going to see the Chiefs get back there in the AFC, and I fully believe we have seen enough of the 2025 Eagles to say that this is not going to be the team that represents the NFC in the Super Bowl. Winter meetings are going on. You know, we love that. There might be some juice today, so we'll get into that at some point as well. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. It was an awful game last night. I mean, the Eagles had 5 turnovers. The Chargers had 3 turnovers. Justin Herbert ran more than he threw. It felt like it was really, I mean, it was a terrific performance by Justin Herbert just being out there with a fractured hand and having surgery last Monday.
Yes.
So I will give him all the credit in the world. You know, the same thing about Daniel Jones, same thing about Aaron Rodgers. These guys are literally on the field after either having surgery or having broken bones. And I you know, there is nothing worse than having to play a football game with something that is bothering you, because you could wrap it up, you could tape it up, you could put a cast on it, you could put some pain medication in there. At some point during the game, that thing is going to start throbbing and it's going to start hurting, and it's going to just affects everything that you do, no matter what it is: shoulder, hand, foot, ankle, plantar fasciitis, you know, a bruised thigh, you know, a helmet in the back. And every single player, I would tell you, in the NFL is probably dealing with something, and a lot of stuff that we don't even know about. And that's that, you know, and I think about Baker Mayfield down in Tampa Bay. You know, 3 weeks ago, he's playing against the Rams, and he mildly separates his left non-throwing shoulder. But watching him yesterday on tape, there's definitely something wrong with him, and he's trying to play through it. So I do admire the toughness. I do admire, I say, bravery for going out there and exposing themselves to further injuries and trying to lead their team to victory. That's why Jim Harbaugh, after the game last night, was so effusive in his praise of Justin Herbert, even though the numbers were you know, basically pedestrian. But I think he ran, 10 times for like 70 yards or something, and that Eagle pass rush was all over him. And it just goes to show you just, you know, how close a lot of these teams are, because the Eagles committed 5 turnovers. The game still went into overtime, and they only lost by 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, you think about all the drop passes, too, by A.J. Brown, some of the things that you'd never seen, like
Better
Jalen.
start reading that book again.
Yeah, seriously. And he did. I heard Jerry talk about how he owned it in the post game. I'm sure he's going to have some of that sound, which is good because, you know, he's been a guy who has seemed to passively, aggressively point the finger at Jalen Hurts all the time. And, you know, last night he could have done that with Jalen Hurts, but he had his own issues. Jalen Hurts turning the football over twice on the same play is something that you never see. It was great, though, because during the broadcast,
that's never happened before.
Never happened before.
At least since back to 1978 when they started tracking these types of things.
Sure. So they have, obviously this play happens, and then they go find 2 Eagles fans that are there at the game, and then they catch a guy go, what the F? It was just perfect.
I mean, I don't know how to explain Jalen Hurts' performances. I really don't. And I know sometimes, you know, there were moments that you kind of lose your confidence and you lose sight of what the offense is, and you're completely out of whack. And he's been out of whack, I want to say, at least half this season, where there is no understanding of their passing game. And I just don't understand what he's looking at. And I don't know why this guy was a Super Bowl MVP and won Super Bowl and should have been the MVP in the other had they won. And he looks like a completely lost player. And It's hard. Look, the quarterback is about getting the team in the end zone. The quarterback is the one where it all starts. He always has the ball in his hands. He is the heartbeat of your football team. That's why I think Giant fans should be very excited about Jackson Dart, because he is the heartbeat of the football team. When you look at the Jets, they have no heartbeat at that position. That's why they stink. That's why that performance, on a gray Sunday afternoon with those ugly uniforms, adds to just the torture of the Jet fan. I mean, because they have no heartbeat there. And Jalen Hurts, for the longest time, I appreciated because he was always undersized. He was drafted in the second round. I always felt like he had this competitive edge to him, that he had a chip on his shoulder, that he was never, ever going to give in. And I, for the life of me, it is really hard to understand where he is mentally right now on the football field. And to see him play the way that he has played over the last month and a half is just really dispiriting.
Yeah, the Eagles fans basically have blamed the offensive coordinator, and that's why he's getting his house egged, because that's the only difference between last year and this year. I mean, the offensive line is still a good offensive line. The weapons are still there. Nick Sirianni is still there. The only difference is the coordinator, so they've decided to make him the scapegoat. But, I mean, this can't just be play design. This can't be just confusion of scheme. When he's out there, he's playing a different brand of football that doesn't include the confidence that we saw him have during last year when they started turning it up and winning all those games in a row on the way to the championship. It's just not there. And I don't know if it's one of those deals where, he's not going to get it back this year. But it's just been so inconsistent. He looks like a different player. He looks timid out there, and it's frustrating. But then again, I mean, you can't have everything in the NFL, right? The NFL teaches you.
It reminds me of like a closer. You know how a closer goes through a year, and all of a sudden, like you remember that when Edwin Diaz first got here, or Devin Williams last year, and they have the same stuff. They're throwing with the same velocity, but for some reason they can't pinpoint it, or the opposing team, for whatever reason, all of a sudden starts hitting them, or they start walking players. When they start walking players, that's when you know that they don't trust their stuff.
Right.
And I kind of feel like that's where a number of quarterbacks are in the league this year. I feel like that's where Lamar Jackson all of a sudden is. I kind of feel this way about Jalen Hurts, because I know what it's like to go through a moment where maybe you lose your confidence a little bit, but those players that are around him should lift him up too. It's not like he's playing with the group of players that Jackson Dart's playing with here at the Giants, or whoever's playing quarterback with the Jets. I mean, you may have Breece Hall back there, but you don't have Garrett Wilson out there with you. You have a bunch of good players that may be second or third wide receivers, second or third tight end types, but he's playing with all-star players. And those players should be support. I don't say supporting him, but they can't be dropping passes.
No, I mean, in key situations like that, when you're one of the better wide receivers in the league, and it just shows you how hard it is in the NFL to win multiple championships in a short amount of time. Now, I don't really count that one they had previously, because they're a totally different team at that point. So, this is this group with Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Saquon and Devontae Smith and all of that. But you think about, how special it is, how great you have to be the Kansas City Chiefs in recent memory, or the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick Patriots. It's hard, man, to come back and do it again.
Well, look at what Patrick Mahomes has gone through this year. I mean, he's playing terrible too.
Yeah.
I mean, and they have players on that team. You remember it was probably about 6 weeks ago where they were getting their wide receivers, Rashee Rice back, and these guys, and Brown was coming back, Hollywood Brown was coming back, and everybody thought, okay, now they're going to get ready to take off. And even he looks lost at times. I mean, and it's really hard to put your finger on how is a Patrick Mahomes-led offense averaging like 22 points a game? How is a Jalen Hurts-led offense averaging through the month of November 15.5 points a game, and last night they scored 19 points? I mean, it's so mind-boggling to me, especially in a league where there's probably 3 or 4 top-end defenses. Now, the Chargers may be
the Chargers might be one of them.
They're good defenses, no question about that. Them, the Broncos, the Browns, the Texans, of course. But even the Eagles, for that matter. I mean, if you're an Eagle defensive player and you're sitting there and you're watching Justin Herbert throw for 139 yards and you sack him 7 times, and you end up losing the game. You're like, what the hell are we doing?
Well, yeah, especially with all those weapons on offense. It makes no sense. It's all, and really, I mean, it's going to fall at the feet of Jalen Hurts, even though A.J. Brown dropped a number, 2 massive drops last night for him. It's still going to land at the feet of Jalen Hurts. I mean, it just
always
will.
Does. It always does. And if you told me that the last 3 games he threw for over 900 yards and 9 touchdowns and 1 interception, and they were 3-0 going into last night's game, or 1-3 going into last night's game, and he had last night's game, I think everyone would have just passed it off as just as a bad game. The problem is that it's being compounded by the fact that the previous games haven't been much better, and they have been stuck in neutral offensively, and he's going to hear it. I'm sorry. Now the question comes. They're going to make the playoffs most likely, as you said, when you're talking about their schedule. What are they going to do in the offseason? They're going to have to do something. They're going to, Howie Roseman's not going to sit by and watch this. Do they trade Jalen Hurts?
I mean,
they can.
I always argue back and forth when we say, like, what's the alternative thing, because I say, sometimes you got to establish the fact that this isn't the guy, and then you search for the alternative, as opposed to just be like, okay, I'm going to stick with this guy because there's nothing better. You don't know sometimes if there's anything better if you're just, locked in on somebody. But this is one of those times that I want to feel like, what's the alternative? That's a dangerous game to play, too.
Yeah, but I'm like, you're paying him a ton of money, and maybe he's just I don't know if he's bored. I don't know if he's unhappy. I don't know what's going on between he and his teammates. I mean, there's all this drama that is surrounding the team, and unfortunately for them and Nick Sirianni, they're not going to win another Super Bowl. I'm not one of these people that think that you could just turn it on in the NFL and then take it all the way to the finish line. I think you have to get into some sort of momentum leading into the playoffs, and hopefully and this is why wild card teams can make it to the Super Bowl, because they continue to play, and you got to obviously miss out on the injury bug, because if key players start getting hurt, then all of a sudden there goes the season. So Indianapolis, case in point right now.
Sure. Yeah.
When you see what's going on with the quarterback situation and bringing in Phillip Rivers for a tryout. That's desperation. It's too bad the Bengals and Joe Flacco can't separate, and then maybe Joe Flacco can go back to Indianapolis. That to me would be a better solution. Or if somehow Russell Wilson
I was going to ask. Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, I know he has said that I'm not going to ask for my release. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. But, I mean, this would be the perfect situation for a team that's trying to hang on. And, he played one good game, and there was a lot of bad games in there. But still, that's a team that's got, there's a good team around him in Indianapolis if he ends up going there. I mean, I would rather, kick the tires, for a lack of a better term, on Russell Wilson than bring in Phillip Rivers just because he knows the offense a little bit better. I mean, we're talking about a guy who hasn't played in 3 full years, who's 44 years old. And, I mean, Russell's been in games this year. He's been in practices. He puts the uniform on the sideline.
Or Joe Flacco would be the guy.
Flacco would be.
He would have to get his release from the Bengals. And I don't know if the Bengals will do that. I mean, they should do it. But, because he should go and play. He should go and try to rescue another team. He actually played reasonably well for the Bengals.
Yeah. I mean, he is someone that could step in and give you a burst right away. But, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that Phillip Rivers is going to play an NFL game this year, right? There's no way.
Desperate times, desperate measures, and that would be really desperate. And I think he's crazy for doing that.
Yeah.
I can't believe his wife would say, hey, go out there and go for it, hon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, and isn't there a level of it? I don't know what he's doing in his spare time, but isn't there a level of fitness that it's really hard to maintain when you're stepping into December football?
I was thinking about it last night when I had my feet up on the couch and I was drinking a Casamigos going, what happens if the Colts called me tomorrow? I'd be like, I'll go out and try out for you. They take one look at me and go, we don't think so. I think he probably works out. I feel like he's a guy that's probably in reasonably good shape.
Yeah.
Plus, he was coaching high school football. I don't know if he still is or not.
Do you think that if they gave you one drive, you had the best offensive line, and you were playing against the worst defense, one drive inside in a dome, you could lead a touchdown drive? Got the best offensive line, you're facing the worst defense in football.
I guarantee you I could hand it off, and I could complete a pass behind the line of scrimmage. If I had to sit back in that pocket and hold on to that ball, hell no. Not a chance in hell.
What about like a 3rd and 6 conversion? Is that possible?
If they were playing, man under coverage and everybody left and I had to run with it, no.
But I'm saying, could you, like, it's a pass, like you got a 3rd and 7. Do you think?
How far do I have to throw it?
8 yards.
I mean, you see me throw game balls at like golf tournaments and black tie events.
Right, which is different than the NFL, but you still have the arm.
Yeah, Daddy can still throw it a little bit.
So I mean, no, I'm talking about, drop, your normal, like, 5-step drop, step up, bang, 10-yard pass.
I don't want any part of it, no.
So you don't think you could do it?
You know what I see? I see a broken rib in my future and a punctured lung.
Yeah, all right. Well, you're back in shotgun then, best offensive line. Bang, you're just getting the ball out.
Throw it to a wide receiver screen, complete like 50 passes, like behind the line of scrimmage, and let those guys run with it. Yeah, I could do that.
Okay. Nothing down the field.
I would get the ball and just throw it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I could, and then, of course, guys, somebody like Jeffrey Simmons, who was talking trash to Shador Sanders this week, would be back there talking trash with me.
You know what you'd have?
Old man, I'm going to get your ass.
Yeah, you old ass.
Yeah, you old ass.
Dusty ass.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be one of some of the insults to Phillip Rivers would hear if he ever steps out there. You'd have to, though, if you got that opportunity, you'd have to bring Pat Boyle with you because that was the great connection that you had.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing how when he and I stepped on the field together, there was.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he's not a narp.
Yeah.
Like I had he was an actual athlete who had some athletic IQ, and I was able to connect with that. It's where I'm around the narps, and I can never. Like if I were on the ice with you guys, I could never understand where you're going or what you're doing or what you're thinking. Like when you watch a hockey game and guys have the hockey IQ, especially at the NHL level. They understand where the puck is going. Mm-hmm. They know how to get themselves in the right spots to score goals, and they feed off of each other, like just kind of like the way we do on a radio program.
Yes.
So we feed off of each other in these conditions. You know why? Because we're just sitting here, we're drinking some coffee. It's kind of relaxed. You throw a little stress in there, a little competition in there, and a ball or a puck. Now, all of a sudden, you guys start freaking out, and I have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, Eddie, though, was a great offensive lineman. I remember some of the tape from that and how much effort he was putting in blocking the other team.
I don't question the effort from any of these guys. There was a time where Al got hit with the ball in pregame warm-up and basically took himself out of the game, sitting with an ice pack on the – Could you imagine Al playing quarterback for the Chargers last night with a little bump on his shin? No, I don't think so.
No, I can't imagine Al playing quarterback for the Chargers. All right, it's Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.